I'm a libertarian. We libertarians think, for the most part, government should get out of our way, should be limited, have nothing to do with most of our lives. But one clear, legitimate responsibility of government is to protect us from people who want to kill us, provide for the common defense. It says so right here in the Constitution. So if Herman Cain wins the nomination, what will he, as commander-in-chief, do about terrorism, about the war in Afghanistan, so on? Here's how he answered when asked that at the first presidential debate.
The experts and their advice and their input would be the basis for me making that decision. I'm not privy to a lot of confidential information.
That sounds like a dodge, and it made Jonathan Tobin of Commentary Magazine conclude that Cain is not a serious candidate. Not a serious candidate?
That wasn't a word he used.
Well, the title of his blog was Foreign Policy Ignoramus.
Yes.
That was rough. The fact is, this campaign is an extended job interview, if you want to talk about running like a business. Foreign policy is still the most important thing that a president is going to do. It's his first responsibility. It's where he has the most power. So therefore, when Herman Cain says things that make us think that he doesn't know what he's talking about or hasn't done enough studying about that, well, like saying he's going to figure out what to do in Afghanistan by what some other people tell him, or after he gets elected, he'll figure it out by the time he gets...
Mr. Cain?
Well, first of all, Mr. Tobin.
You know, I just want to say that that sounds like you're BSing the interview.
Didn't he throw me the ball?
Yes, he did. I just go right ahead.
First of all, I welcome you being critical of my responses, but calling me a name, you are better than that. Now, that being said, if a candidate waited until they knew everything before they ran for office, would we have any candidates? I admitted in front of the world that that wasn't a strong suit, but one of my guiding principles, no matter what job I've had, was to listen to the experts. Now, since that debate, I have begun to develop some perspectives on those issues. I've been doing some homework. I still will not offer a solution, but I have a better understanding of the problem in Afghanistan right now. And I have been doing that.
Should we get out, stay in, fight harder?
First, let's recognize that it's not one major issue we're dealing with. One of the things that I always talk about in business or whatever, make sure we're working on the right problem. We have 3 problems to deal with in Afghanistan. And I've learned this, Mr. Tobin, since I gave that answer, okay? Just for the record, number 1, we have a military challenge. The surge was working, but this president decided to start drawing the troops home. Why? Because he shot from the lip when he was campaigning, and he is trying to basically make a political statement. Secondly, the Afghan government. There are some things in the Afghan government. Mr. Karzai has not been able to bring the government together. There's too much division. We have to sort that out. And then the third major issue we must deal with was the relationship between Pakistan and Afghanistan. We've got to manage that also. Now, here are the 2 worst things that we can do. Leave too soon if we can win, if we define winning.
Or how do you define winning?
That's why I have to talk to the experts, because the United States interest is not real clear. The second thing is to stay too long if we can't win. And until I have a clear definition of what winning means for the United States of America, I'm not going to shoot from the lip and offer a solution.
Well, that's the beginning of an answer, but it still tells me that he's still working his way. He's still, you know, you're on the job interview and you're still kind of talking your way through it. And that's not good. I mean,
all of the candidates expert on every issue?
How about Libya?
I'm not here to talk
Should
about
we be in Libya?
Should we be in Libya? The answer is no.
That's clear.
Because U.S. interest was not clearly defined.
You say we should be in Libya.
I think there is a humanitarian case to be made, and the fact is American power sometimes has to be used to save people. I think it's the right thing, and I think you're wrong on that.
Well, I take issue. I think you're wrong, and here's why. Humanitarian aid is different from putting our men and women in harm's way. Let's be clear on the U.S. reason for being there before we go, not trying to define it after we get there.
Last question. You said you would not appoint a Muslim to your cabinet. Then on Neil Cavuto's show, you said, well, if they had critical skills. You took heat. You were called a bigot for that.
Yep. Let's go back to when the first question was first asked. Would I be comfortable with the Muslim in my cabinet? And spontaneously I said no, because my perspective was I would not be comfortable putting someone in my cabinet who could be a potential terrorist. My point of reference for that response wasn't the peaceful Muslims that I know that are out there. My point of reference were those jihadists and the terrorists who killed nearly 3,000 people. They want to kill all of us. So I will err on the side of caution rather than say I am going to just hire anybody that happens to be a Muslim.
That's a long-winded, way of saying you put your foot in it. Let's be honest here.
No.
You put your foot
Nope.
put your foot in it
Mr.
because why would you think that the people that you're considering for your cabinet are potential terrorists? Surely you've got a little more due diligence about the people you're considering than that. That was a foolish thing to say.
No, Mr.
Because
Tobin.
we've got lots of Muslim allies. We can't be at war with the entire Muslim world. And when you say things like that, you're giving the impression that you don't know what you're talking about.
I clearly stated that my perspective was to protect this nation. Secondly, many Muslims who want to destroy this country want to introduce Sharia law into our laws. I do not support that. This is why I said I wouldn't be comfortable. I must be careful and cautious on behalf of the American people and make sure that people that work in my administration support and honor the Constitution of the United States first.
And
I
must be cautious and
there's
pay
no
the
religious
bills by
test, and there's
going
no
to
religious
commercial.
test
All
in the
right.
Constitution.
Jonathan Tobin, thank you. Herman Cain, next, one more debate, and this time with this man.